Meanwhile, mayors and governors from dozens of cities around the world are in Israel this week as part of the 31st edition of the International Mayors Conference, hosted by the American Jewish Congress and American Council for World Jewry. The mayors are meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other senior Israeli officials. On top of this, they're also meeting with key members from high-tech, energy, and cyber firms. Maya Margit, our correspondent, attended some of the conference events and got to meet with several of the mayors. Thanks so much for being here, Maya. So tell us about who you spoke with and what they had to say.
Well, so there were dozens of mayors from all over the world, as you mentioned, and this is being hosted by the American Jewish Congress. And basically the point of this is to highlight Israel as a startup nation, highlight our tech advances, what we can offer the world, how there can be cooperation agreements between different countries, the U.S., Canada, and Israel. And as well, there was a really large Canadian contingent. There were 150 different members of Canadian top business people here in Israel trying to build different relationships with business people in Israel. Let's just listen to what some of the mayors had to say.
A very important and large portion of our residents who are Jewish. And yes, there is a natural connection. We have our own memorandum of understanding with Israel. We've had 2 summits this year in Beverly Hills, one on cybersecurity and one on water with Israel. And we have a very special relationship with Israel. And it's something that we as a city treasure. We have a street in our city named after Theodore Herzl. So
Texas has done a lot of work with Israel. In fact, Israel is our 4th largest trading partner. And today we actually filed 2 bills in our House and Senate and the state legislature saying that the state of Texas is not going to do any business with companies that don't recognize Israel.
I used to say that the difference between an MOU and a contract is political will and the trust that we have among ourselves. And this is what it's all about between Canada and Israel. No matter which government who's there, we will always make sure that we're focusing on that friendship, and we need to make it grow.
So in these times, Maya, you can't help but gauge how political figures feel about the new president-elect of the U.S., Donald Trump. So you did speak to some of them about it. What was the general feeling?
Very mixed kind of responses. I think we should listen to it and maybe then discuss it.
Let's see.
Mr. Trump, I can only speak to the NAFTA agreement to which Canada is a party, and that he's expressed some concern about that. And our government has indicated a willingness to sit down and talk about some of those concerns. I think free trade overall has been very good for Canada. We're in an environment where those who seek to protect themselves and to kind of become isolationist, I think, are destined not to do as well as those who will open their borders to increase trade with anybody you can.
I am very optimistic that President-elect Trump is a good friend of Israel, and that we will be able to move forward as close allies, recognizing that specifically in Middle East that Israelis are our best friends.
The difficulty in communication between the Obama administration and Bibi Netanyahu administration will change. I think Trump will certainly be a good friend of Israel and a good partner for Israel.
Okay, so we are hearing mixed reviews from the Jewish community in particular regarding Trump, right?
Yeah, especially from the American Jewish Congress, which is hosting this conference, as I mentioned before. Jack Rosen, sounding a very optimistic kind of note, saying that he thinks Trump will smooth relations with Netanyahu, mentioning that things will improve, relations between the U.S. and Israel will be going much more smoothly. But I just want to mention that not all Jewish organizations in the U.S. have responded the same way, and there are dozens and dozens of Jewish organizations. This is not, there's not one umbrella group representing all Jews in America. As we know, right now there's actually a spat between the Zionist Organization of America and the Anti-Defamation League over Trump's appointment of Stephen Bannon, the former head of the Breitbart alt-right website, we could say. So now the Zionist Organization of America has asked the ADL to apologize for calling Trump out on this appointment, saying that, Bannon is not a bad friend to Jews. The ADL actually saying that Bannon, I can actually quote what the tweet was, they're saying that Bannon presided over the premier website of the alt-right, a loose-knit group of white nationalists and anti-Semites. The Zionist Organization of America disagreeing with the ADL, and they've actually invited Bannon to join the annual gala in New York on Sunday. Wow. So very sharp disagreements with Jewish groups in America. We can't say that there's one overarching kind of agreeing agreement, I would say.
Yeah, and we will be touching on the show a bit later on about the American elections. But also you interviewed a mayor from Taiwan?
Yes, from Tainan City. So this is also showing how Israel is pivoting east in terms of economic and trade ties. They are building very strong relationships with different countries, including Taiwan. And let's listen to what he had to say.
The Israel is at the leading role in the international, in the security and high tech this way, and I hope we can enhance the close relationship to make us two countries to progress. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Maya, for telling us about this conference of mayors that you attended.
Thanks.